Reminder to all commissioners, unless you want to buy dinner, please silence your cell phones. Work session order. Please everyone stand. Pledge of allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Engler,
Here.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Present.
Commissioner Marino,
Present.
Commissioner Slaney,
Present.
Commissioner Hope,
Here.
Commissioner Hutchinson,
Present.
Commissioner Horton.
Present.
All present, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Clerk Fox. Next up, approval of the agenda. We have general public comments. We have nothing under presentations and special reports. We have nothing under appointments to boards and commissions. Members to committee reports. First up, finance administration.
Finance and administration is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next up, criminal justice and county affairs committee.
Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee, well said, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Engler. Next up, human resources and public works committee.
Human Resources and Public Works Committee, also, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Item D, intergovernmental affairs. Vice Chairman Hope, do you have anything under intergovernmental affairs for this evening?
We do not.
Thank you. That brings us under administrative controller. Margaret, we do have anything under that tonight?
No, sir.
Okay. Next brings us down to unfinished business, which we have no actions. To new business, we have 2 items. That drops us to general public comments and then announcements. And then we have 2 closed session items and then adjournment. Information to add before we start. Hearing and seeing none, can you get a motion and support for the approval of the agenda, please?
So moved, Marino. Support, Johnson.
We have a motion and support for the approval of the agenda. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. We have an agenda. Next up, general public comments. General public comments will be limited to 3 minutes, so people in person and on the virtual. And I'll first turn to the live studio audience. Anybody here who'd like to make a comment or two? Hearing and seeing nobody look at the podium, we'll next turn into Nicole. Nicole, is there anybody on the virtual?
There is not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, in the interest of time, and I will pull public comments. Anybody wants to jump in, remind me if you have another public comment. Next up, presentations and special reports. We have no action under appointments to boards and commissioners. There will be no reports this evening. Next up, committee reports, finance administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1 is consider ratifying and placing on file the November 12th, 2021 invoice list in the amount of $161,568.72. The November 19th, 2021 invoice list in the amount of $603,695.28. The November 26th, 2021 invoice list in the amount of $201,250.01, and the adjustment list dated December 2nd, 2021. We looked at these in committee, didn't see anything too out of the ordinary. Nothing that we didn't know what it was. That first list, the 22nd, one of the smaller ones, but we've got integrated architecture, architectural services payment, Mid-State Health Network payment, and Otis Elevator annual elevator service contract, and a couple other items. The next invoice list would be November 19th, and this was quite a lengthy list. And a big list, $600 and some odd $1,000. But we had one of the larger items here was our Michigan Municipal Risk Management first quarter liability and property insurance payment. and numerous invoices having to do with drains. Thanks, Michelle. McBride Quality Care monthly treatment that we always see, and I can say a whole lot of drain invoices. And then the next invoice list, the November 25th list. Another smaller one, our Edward W. Sparrow Hospital payment for a contract. Procom radio to recorder IP interface for central dispatch, and then some public defender appointments, and Lincoln and Chippewa Township remonumentation invoice from the Register of Deeds. And then the adjustment list dated December 2nd. The things we usually see on that adjustment list: Gordon Food Service, that you pay early, you get an early payment discount. The consumer's energy bills that we pay to avoid late fees, and one invoice that was decreased due to a small entry error. And that about covers those. Commissioners have any questions, comments on any of those? Okay, hearing and seeing nothing, that item will move forward to tonight's agenda.
The second item is consider approving the request to hire the Isabella County Clerk, Isabella County Deputy Clerk at the non-union employee wage pay scale grade 7, step 2 years in the amount of $32,293.31. Cindy's here. Would you like to continue? Would you like to present your proposal?
Sure. We had about 7 people that applied, and out of the 7, we had 2 that were pretty strong candidates, but the one that stood out is currently a city clerk, and she comes with all the knowledge that I need. She's already state certified through the state of Michigan. She knows how to do our qualified voter file. There's really not much training I have to do, so actually I'll be ahead and ready for 2022 if I can hire her.
The only comment I'd like to make is, as you read the literature, whether it's in paper or some of the emails, literature that you get from townships and other governmental entities, is there's a real brain drain going on right now, especially as the rest of the baby boomers reach retirement, and some are taking that retirement early. So I think anytime we can obtain an experienced person and put them into a position, we're much further ahead, because you start with somebody new and you have a long learning curve to go. Any other questions or comments?
I just like to echo that, and, in starting a business, or just hiring an employee, there's costs involved, and I think this is one example of for looks, recognizing that and saying, I can only bring somebody that has all this training involved. Let's start her at this. She fit right in. We're a service-based organization, also do a lot of services, and won't miss a beat over it. So I think it's a very good hire. I'm not going to repeat it. We have a couple line items down below. Treasurer Pickens, same thing. Bringing people in that's experienced, don't have to have the cost necessarily going through all the training, and getting somebody that can hit the ground running and hopefully actually bring something to help out or suggest or to supplement in the role. So I think it's a very good move on both offices. So thank you.
Any other comments? Questions? We'll move this forward to the next meeting.
Okay, item number 3, consider approving the increase in fee for passport photos from $12 to $15. And clerk books, you want to take this one as well?
Sure, that's pretty easy. What we're trying to do is basically bring us up so that we're comparable to everyone else in the county. As I presented, we have Walgreens at $14.99, CVS at $14, UPS at $14.99, and I just found out that Target actually just stopped doing their passports. So just trying to bring us up to what the rate is going right now. And also, we do have a new system in place, so this may also help bring the revenue up a little bit.
Another question, it's been a while since I've done a passport. I think I'm 3 years and second one, or third one, I can't. But when someone gets, say they go to Walgreens and gets their passport photo taken, do they then have to come to the clerk's office or register to use in the road? Do they still have to come and turn everything anyway? So by going to the county building, it's a one-stop shop versus having to go to 2 different places. And especially in the era that we're in now, the lesser the better, I guess, for being a, want to look at it. Some people are more vulnerable than others in public. So I think they condensing and so being in very reasonable in what's involved. I think that's a good thing. So.
And if the Register of Deeds decides that the photo is not good enough in the quality, they would have to go back to Walgreens and try and get the money back. Whereas they can send it back to us and we're just going to do it.
Just comment too, the report says this would generate approximately $1,992 a year. Do a little quick math, that's 664 passports. I didn't realize you did that many. That's a lot of passports.
Over 1,000 normally, when
Right.
COVID has been lower.
Okay.
And we would prefer that the pictures come from there, we don't have to send the people away, because the U.S. Department of State is very, very picky.
Doing that, I'm saying that's Karen Jackson, our Register of Deeds, who I complimented earlier. That's one job that I have appreciated more and more in the last 10 months. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment and say that I'm so glad what Isabella County did do, like some other counties did, Merge County Register. The way we did.
Any other questions? Okay, then this item will move forward to tonight.
Next item, consider approving the request to hire Fiscal County Deputy Treasurer at the non-union employee wage scale pay grade 8, step 2 years, in the amount of $36,084.47. Treasurer Mickens is on camera now, so I'll let him take the lead in this presentation.
Go ahead, Steve. President Pickens.
Can't hear you very well. You want me to explain?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, we have a person retiring in the office, and we were fortunate enough to have a candidate that was the chief deputy treasurer in another county. And I just think that 8.2 is probably a low part for her to start, but that's much better than the 8 position that we currently offer for a new employee. Just ask that we can bump her up to the 8.2 and go from there. There's a considerable amount of savings. You have to understand that I've promoted within that they're all taking different positions in the office now, except for Kathleen and myself. And so there's a lot of training going on in her jobs as well. And having somebody with this kind of experience would just be wonderful for us to be able to have.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions, comments? We'll move this then on to tonight's meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pickens.
Thank you.
Brings us to item number 5, consider accepting and placing on file the fiscal year 2021 fourth quarter financial management services report as presented. And we have Mr. Grinovic, Mayor Pearson, our contracted financial services company. Steve, do you want to walk us through this?
Absolutely, thank you. Pretty consistent with what you've seen in the past. Just kind of briefly go through the points that are there. Point number 1 is kind of that ongoing oversight that we have done the last quarter and continue to do to maintain strong internal controls and all that type of thing over the last quarter. Point number 2 gets into the court bank reconciliation, trial court bank reconciliation. They continue to provide it to us, and we do a modest summarization of that bank rec just for audit purposes, and the courts continue to provide that in a timely fashion. We summarize that and set it aside for audit purposes. Point number 3 relates to the budget process. We tried to assist and be a resource for the department and all departments as the 21-22 budget was being prepared. Point number 4 related to the American Rescue Plan dollars, and during the quarter, a informational meeting was put on for the other locals in the county. We had a pretty good turnout with the other locals, and I think there was a good amount of information shared back and forth between the county and those other entities, and getting a vast majority of them to participate in the American Rescue Plan dollars that were distributed by the state. The bottom point there on the first page, if you recall, in the past, we did that detailed analysis of the wind turbine revenue and the pension and the jail debt, or the sheriff's debt payments, and kind of that analysis of that a few quarters ago, and we updated that this past quarter just to kind of bring it into current times and kind of getting additional information based on current analysis and so forth. That was also used as the county applied to the USDA for funding for that. So that update was done for those purposes. And then the other points on the next page, in conjunction with the analysis for the budget, we also did that detailed analysis that we've done in the last several years related to the delinquent tax revolving fund, and that relation of the budget process compared to cash flows needed for estimated cash flows needed for delinquent tax purchases, and then also potentially transferring dollars to the general fund, kind of that balance between those two for the 21-22 budget. Point number 7 relates to the assisted with the bond anticipation notes that were issued, and kind of the accounting for that, and all of the necessary entries and so forth surrounding that funding. Point number 8, attending various meetings. Point number 9 relates to journal entries, as the journal entries are prepared by various different people within either the administrative controller's office or departments and that type of thing. And there's also a secondary check of those and approval. And then we've always kind of had that additional oversight of those journal entries, just kind of reviewing those and so forth. So we've continued that process. And then finally, the quarterly report, which I think is next on the agenda. I'm also assisted with that quarter end report that I think Margaret will go over next.
We talked about this in committee, but that informational meeting with other local units, I really appreciate the work you put into that. Steve and Margaret, I know you put a lot of work into that, and that's a good thing if we could work with the other units. And the American Rescue Plan wasn't the simplest thing to sign up for, and if we could help other units, I mean, I don't see any reason why any of them would not want to sign up and take that money, but whatever, I guess some of them have their reasons. But, I'm glad we were able to help those units. The more of that kind of stuff we do, the better, I think.
Absolutely.
Mr. Engler.
Yeah, brought this up about the American Rescue Plan and the funds. I know one of the townships going to find it. Some of them don't have a large base to do it on. We've been trying to figure out what to do with it. Unfortunately, I haven't got a lot of information back yet, but we were looking into maybe they could use some of these smaller townships to use some of that money to supplement the septic program within their township, so they can use some of that money for the cost share and the septic program. As of yet, we haven't got an answer back. If we could do that, that might be an option for some of these smaller townships like Goldwater that don't have a fire department, or they can't, there's not enough money to do an internet and upgrade. But that's one of the options that we would work with the state committee. Hopefully we'll get an answer pretty soon. As soon as we do, I'll try to get that back. townships. They won't reject the money if that money.
Good, good. I hope that comes through. Commissioner Marino.
Yeah, going along with what Mr. English said too, I just like to let other local governments know that there are these streams of money coming in, specifically for the rural broadband. And also MAC is working on proposing a match from the state to the local. So if any townships wanted to do rural broadband, they could get matching funds from other entities of government. It wouldn't just have to be on them alone. So that's something to keep in mind before turning it back.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing nothing further, then I will move forward to tonight's agenda.
Next item is consider accepting and placing on file the fiscal year 2021 fourth quarter financial report as presented. I'm going to turn this back over to either Steve or Margaret. I know the horrifying fact is that the revenues are always short, even at the final quarter, but there's still tax revenues that come in that will balance things out. But that said, I know, Margaret, I think you did it with the committee, right?
Yes, you just took my most important.
I was going to give that as the good news. Don't worry about it. I know it's always kind of nerve wracking to see. Yeah, we're expecting about $4 million more in taxes to come in that will be pushed back. So under sources of revenues, when you look up front there under the taxes, and you can see that we're under budget $3.7 million. Hopefully that's going to be a wash by the time it all gets done. So that is very good news. I want to digress just a little bit about the American Rescue Plan. I do think it's very important to realize a couple of things. I put together a work group of leaders in elected officials and department heads originally to kind of talk about the original rules and regulations and whatever. And frankly, that group hasn't met again since the budget was finalized. Purposefully because you have a new county administrator controller starting in January. There's a new city manager who has started recently. And the comment that Commissioner Moreno made is that we have a whole lot more information on the American Rescue Plan funds. And moving forward with that than we had 5 or 6 or 2 months ago even. And I think that is a great thing that, there is the collaboration that's looking, it's not just the locals that have received American Rescue Plans, it's all the states. And I don't know if all of you are signed up to receive the information that comes from the governor's office, but I receive at 6:30 every morning, short little briefings on kind of what's happened or is going to happen, and then numerous other updates throughout the day from the governor's office. And I think moving forward, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to collaborate and work together. And I think it's really important to realize that we have a great relationship with townships. We have a really good relationship with the city and with CMU. And I think that moving forward, those are going to be very important things for us, that we already have those relationships. And unlike other counties who's got to try to go build those based on the funds, we don't have to build those relationships based on the funds. We already have those relationships. So I think it's going to be great things moving forward for all the municipalities in our boundaries and across the state. I think that there's some good planning going on. Mac's been very active in that, and I've been fairly active in MAC, so I think we're going to be in a good place, but that's just to give a little update on that. So when you look at the, I'm not going to go through this in depth. We went through it in depth at finance, and everybody's had a chance to see it, but when you look at under the first page of the source of funds and the revenues, and you get down to the bottom line, you're looking at we're at 83.66% of what we anticipated. Once those tax dollars come in, $4 million come in, I think that's going to all wash out. It would be a good thing. Under expenditures, some of the things that have happened is that during the COVID period in the last year, we had less court cases, so there's less fees, there's less fines, there's less assessments, those kinds of things. I will tell you, the courts have been tremendously busy. In the last 6 to 9 months, I guess I would say. Not that they were busy before, but they are. And I made a comment to our court administrator before the meeting, and I liked the comment she made when she said, we're not catching up on any backlogs. We're caught up, and now we're looking at what's happening in our community with cases we currently have. So, it is what it is during the pandemic. You can't assign a fee if you're not having the case adjudicated or whatever, and the courts do tremendous work. I know that all of the specialty courts appeared in front of you a couple months ago or weeks ago. I kind of lost track of time. And gave their report and about their contracts and moving forward, and great things are coming out of the courts. So yeah, we may be down in a few things, but that's going to bounce back this year because they are incredibly busy over there. I can tell you that right now. When you look at some of the other funds, a couple things I want to make a comment about the revenues and Parks and Recreation being up so dramatically. That's a great indication of people using our parks. And I think kind of goes back to people aren't traveling as far away anymore on vacations or respite. I didn't touch it, Michelle. I don't know. That is on mine. I think that more people are staying closer to home, but they still want to recreate and they still want to camp and they still want to do other things. So that's a great testament to Park and Recreation pivoting and being able to apply all that. I want to draw your attention to inspections and see that building permit revenues were up. That is thank you. That's a huge economic development statement for our community. When you look at building permits being up, that those are homes and commercial, and that transfers into better economic times for our community. So when I look at those types of numbers, it's really very, very, very encouraging. And to the community development department, when you look at what they have done over the last few years with the great job with the turbine project and the great job with keeping these inspections up. And, we had, some situations that they have had to pivot on, and they've done a great job, and it's seamless. So I just want to draw your attention to that. I think that's a very positive thing for our community in general. And that kind of concludes my individual comments. I will try to answer any questions if anyone has any questions. Mr. Chair.
Questions, comments?
Just a comment, but it is definitely a good sign that inspections are up. You look down to the expenditures in all these departments at 100% or below. Good job, on department heads, keeping the spending in check. The total revenues at 83.66%. There's always a little lag there, and Administrator McWiles tells us not to panic. I looked up last year's report, and the total revenues last year were at 78.45%. So that's typical to have that lag.
And like I said, we're anticipating that $4 million. That will be a pushback, so that will even that out. Yeah, it always looks a little scary on this report, but the next time through it looks a lot better.
The only the comment I make is we have a very talented staff throughout the county. Not only are they able to manage the budget to maintain the figures that we adopt, but they're also very agile. Just one example, Parks and Recreation, I looked at back when I was director, we didn't have a whole lot of turnover. And I see a Commission on Aging, Parks and Recreation, there's a lot of seasonal part-time staff that are constantly turning over. But these departments are able to adapt and adjust to maintain their financial strength and continue to get their revenues and continue providing services. So that's a compliment to all the staff. We'll move this on to tonight's meeting.
Mr. Chairman, that completes the work of the Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's tough. The criminal justice, how is it? First item
On our list is consider approving the agreement between Isabella County Sheriff's Office, Lake Isabella for the road patrol and law enforcement services effective November 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2022, and authorize the board chair to sign as same. Chairman is here to give us the.
Good evening. So Lake Isabella, or this Lake Isabella, last couple of years has tried to do some sort of law enforcement, some extra coverage. They've had different things we've looked at. We've run numbers back and forth. So with some of their ARPA funds, they want to use it for some public safety. They decided to ask us to enter into a contract agreement with them. This kind of is in our favor, provide some overtime for the guys and girls on the road patrol. Doesn't cost us anything. It's going to be on a voluntary basis. So 2 to 3 shifts per week, maybe 6 to 8 hours. If we don't have anybody that week because we're busy, it's a busy week. We don't sign up, no harm, no foul. If we need to pull them for an emergency or something priority in the county, we can do that. We just don't bill them for that time. So we will rotate that from days, nights, weekends, all over the board so we get good coverage. They actually have some speed measurement stuff and different things they've done, some stats, so they know kind of when their busy times are up there as well. They keep track of that pretty well, so they're pretty well good. So we can kind of deploy our folks in those time zones in those areas and look at that. So it does include some gas for those shifts, the fuel costs, so that's covered as well. And we did put that through with Mr. Tim Perone, our corporate counsel, and had no issues with that contract. So any questions?
And we talked about last week that, or at least I brought it up, I'm very happy to see us be able to bring more law enforcement to the outer just for road patrol. And we've had quite a few accidents out there on those very fast highway roads, and recently a death. So it's good to have more officers out there to slow people down.
Great.
And any.
Yeah, to echo on that too, we are in our area. I mean, it's one thing if you say you're going to Acosta or something, or I, or Big Rapids. I think I just take one, but it is little on like Frank's place going down the river. And then say we wait for Frank kind of went by and we go down and pick Coldwater Road and swing right, take down that road. So it's the back roads that are being hit just as much as the front one. Glad to see the additional services because at times very dangerous roads, not just with car gear accidents, but with car accidents, slippery roads. So it's good the extra patrol slow people down the town.
The visibility, just coming back and forth, if you're absolutely correct, will help. Isolated patrols are always good. So if they know a place, and like Isabella has grown a lot, and sometimes it's much busier. It's fluxes with people, but we can set on roads that are 25 or 30, and you're getting 60 and 70 mile an hour traffic onto them. We typically can't spend a lot of time on that, but with dedicated patrols, we'll be able to sit there and maybe make a difference there.
All right, seeing no other questions, we'll move that on to tonight's regular session. Okay, consider approving the independent contract agreement, Mark R. Robinson, PS, with the Isabella County Green Modification Peer Group member contract, authorized the board to sign. The county is required to have this peer group, and we've lost recently, they've lost 2 members up here, so this is an appointment. It's getting harder to find people to serve. So they have a registered deed, Karen Jackson. Talk about what they can.
So this is the standard contract that we have to have is required by the state for the grant in order for us to get our money back. Mr. Riedel did appoint Mark Robinson back in October. Forgot to mention that. He frequently forgets to mention things. And then gave me a bill to pay for him. Obviously, I can't pay the bill, which means, and he did provide the service. So at this point, if we don't approve the contract, then we can't complete our grant agreement with the state, which would mean we wouldn't get the additional $25,235.80. It is, I pulled our current agreement It is Mr. Riddell's right to make that appointment. However, obviously, in a perfect world, the agreement or contract would have been done at the same time, before the work was done. That's just not how some people work, unfortunately.
Mr. Riddell's been with the program for quite a long time. And,
Yes.
I think this was an issue a while ago too, but
We've had a few issues. Mr. Riddell is getting up there. Sometimes he forgets things. I try to keep track of, on the front and the back end of everything that he's doing. Obviously, he goes rogue on me once in a while. The other surveyors have great respect for him. No one will step in until he's ready to move on. So I think we're kind of in a situation, I'm not saying we're stuck with him. He still offers a great service. He's
been a great asset.
He has been a great asset. He has great respect for the program. It shows a lot that the area surveyors and those surrounding this area have that much respect for him that none of them will step in until he's ready to move on.
Okay, is there any more questions? Seeing none, we'll move this forward to the next one.
Thank you.
Board session. Thank you.
All right, item number 3, consider approving fiscal year 2021 coronavirus emergency supplemental funding grant contract extension between Michigan State Police, Isabella County Prosecuting Attorney's Office through December 31st, 2022, and authorize the board to sign the same. Do we have anyone from the prosecuting office here? Okay, I'll cover this then. So this is grant from Michigan State Police for $25,000, granted June 1st to December 31st. And Mr. Barber sent an email to extend it. So this brings the total grant money to $67,857.14. And will allow them to be able to utilize those funds for an additional amount of time as they accumulate expenses due to the coronavirus. Are there any questions? All right, we'll bring this forward to the regular session.
Okay, next up is consider approving the Robert J. Peterson Trust application instructed before the approved application to the MBA Farmland Open Space Program. This is 116 agreement. We've seen these before. This is going to a trust. This one's over 40 acres, so it does not require cost analysis, and it seems like everything was signed properly. So, are there any questions on this one? Seeing none, we'll move this forward to the session.
All right, item number 5, consider approving fiscal year 2021 emergency management performance grants grant agreement in the amount of $11,495. Authorize the board chair to sign the same. And we have Director Mark Griffiths here to give us an overview.
This is the end of the workbook agreement that we do every year. The grant comes forward for the emergency management work. The agreement will allow us this year to have $11,495 as part of the grant payment for all the work done in the previous year. This year is unique, as you'll see in the next supplemental grant that comes into this. Our current grant is lower this year by $636. And as you'll see with the supplemental grant, they're going to come in a little bit over that with some of the future funds that are available. If there's any questions.
Seeing none, we'll move this forward to the regular session.
Okay, next up is consider approving the fiscal year 2021 emergency management performance grant, the EMPG American Rescue Plan Act grant agreement in the amount of $5,991 to and authorize the board chair to sign the same. And we already have this Director Griffiths up there. You want to talk about this one?
Yep, and this one's unique, and we don't normally get supplemental grants. In my history, we've only had 2 other ones. So this is going to help make up for the shortfall of that $636. This is coming from a state part of the American Rescue Plan, the ARPA funds from the state, not our local county funds.
Okay, is there any more questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move this forward to tonight's session.
All right, item number 7, consider approving Motorola Solutions change order request in the amount not to exceed $42,000 for the 911 radio console project. Authorizing the board to sign the same. All right, Director Griffiths, tell us what the change is.
Okay, so as you know, our department was struck by lightning a year or so ago. And in the process of recovering from that, we've had the grounding looked at and found that over the years, it does not currently meet the standard of R56 that is there. To meet that standard, you have to have a person who knows exactly kind of what they're doing. Motorola has an expertise in that they can have a contractor help us accomplish this. As part of our current project, this will be integrated in with our timelines. So we'll be able to continue getting our new radio product solution for public safety on time, on target. The cost of this is $42,000. A comprehensive assessment was done, which was provided in your packet. Again, the importance of why I recommend it is Motorola can make this mirror and match in with our product, our project timeline. So we can hopefully here in the next couple of months have our new radio system up and running to serve the public and the police and public safety.
Also, a comment that these expenses that you see here in the next one, have already been budgeted for this year. That we all saw and approved for, so not unexpected expenses here. Are there any questions? All right, here and seeing none, we'll move that forward to this next meeting.
Okay, consider approving the purchase of the Eco-Chair capture engine upgrade in the amount of $96,750 for the 911 radio project. This is part of what we've been talking about in the previous one. So this one, as Commissioner Swing said, has been planned for already in the budget. So our Director Griffiths, would you like to comment on this one, or pretty well just covered it?
I think you covered it. It's budgeted for, it's planned for, it's absolutely necessary to be able to record the public safety radio traffic. And this is the piece of software that interfaces with the radio to make that happen.
Okay, is there any questions? Seeing none, we'll move this forward to the next board session.
All right, last item, consider approving the scope of board purchase order request for a redundant firewall from NetSource One in the amount of $6,152. Director Mark Griffiths, you want to run us through the need for it?
And again, our center was struck by lightning and is part of the equipment that had been compromised or taken out. This is a piece of equipment that was identified that if we had had a redundant firewall, we would have been able to get back into business, recover faster to continue our serving of the public and public safety. This was a budgeted for expense. As we go forward to do that, there was a question at criminal justice prior to that, if it was actually struck by lightning or compromised to a point, would we be open to more of a potential hacker attack? I did have a conversation with the IT director about that, and she had stated that this was behind a couple other firewalls, so the likelihood of that actually happening would be significantly less.
Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move that forward to tonight's session, and that ends the business of the Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
Thank you, gentlemen. 9 items. I think that might be the record for this year. Congratulations. Next up, Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first item is consider approving zoning amendment 21-01, which would rezone the subject property from low density residential R1 to general commercial C1 and authorize the county board of chairperson to sign the official zoning map. We have community development head and therefore give us a background.
Yeah, good afternoon, thank you. Zoning amendment 2101 is a map amendment. So it's an amendment to change the map in section 13 of Sherman Township. The rezoning is from R1 to C1, general commercial. The property is located in the 6,000 block of West Waven Road. This is on the north side of the road, just west of the gas station in Waveman, in south end of town. Planning Commission held a public hearing on November 18th at their last regularly scheduled meeting. And there was no correspondence received or public comment during the public comment section of this hearing. After discussion and comment by the Planning Commission, they went ahead and recommended based on section 1508C2 of the ordinance, which is the criteria for review of map amendments, to go ahead and recommend approval to the planning board.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this, commissioners?
Real quick, it just seems that looking at the map here, it looks like there's R1 and C1 all around each other, so it kind of fits, you want to call it kind of fits in, kind of all around each other.
Yeah, one of the primary goals in the master plan is to establish commercial in areas of low density residential so that you have a close community to be able to service that commercial area, as well as adjacent to other commercial activity. This is probably one of the more direct locations for rezoning that we've seen in some years.
Any more comments or questions? We're hearing none. We'll do the next item. This will be moved forward to our regular session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Nicholas.
Okay, number 2, consider approving the fiscal year 2022 memorandum of agreement between Region 7 Area Agency on Aging and the Isabel County Commission on Aging for the Tai Chi for arthritis program and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
Yes, sir. So this agreement is one that we've had for several years now with Region 7 Area Agency on Aging. The Title III funding from the Older Americans Act allows you to utilize some of the funds for evidence-based programming. And with that, our Tai Chi program that we do provide here does qualify for that program. And so with this grant, we would be able to receive $3,813.84 for the programs that we already do provide. And it's a very popular program here, so it's, we certainly would be able to utilize the funds for that.
Anybody have any questions? Very, very popular program. So we're all about that. So, any questions?
Thank you. Our next item with again is the revised FY 2022 Region 7 AAA Statement of Budget Allocation for Contractual Agreement. Motion reads move to approve the revised fiscal year 2022 Region 7 Area Agency on Aging Statement of Budget Allocation Contractual Agreement and authorize the board chair to sign the same. Could you give us some background on this, please, Chair?
Absolutely. So I brought forth the fiscal year 22 contract to you in last month, and then after doing so, we did notice a discrepancy in the home delivered meals amount. And so with that, Region 7 Area Agency on Aging did send us the revised contract, which does increase the amount that we would receive by $10,408 for our home delivered meals program. So with that, it changes our contract. So we would now receive $234,990 for our in-home and nutrition programs.
Sounds like a good deal.
Absolutely.
Number 4, motion approving the Region 7 Area Agency on Aging Agreement.
addendum to COVID-19 premium pay for in-home providers, funds 801, 202, and 992, and authorize board chair to sign.
So with this, this addendum, I brought multiple addendums to the board last fiscal year for our waiver program with Region 7 Area Agency on Aging. So this is, the first one's addendum P, and this is for the supplemental funding that we do receive through the waiver program. We utilize the tobacco settlement, the respite funds through this. And with this, they are providing the temporary premium pay for our in-home, the direct care staff for the entire fiscal year. So all of 2022, where before they were doing it in chunks of a month at a time, maybe a couple months, and we had a 3-month one. So this, they're doing the entire fiscal year. It's a $2.35 an hour wage increase, temporary premium pay for those staff. And then there's also a 29-cent cost that we're doing our agency for just the cost of doing that.
Questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move this forward to the next one.
We have another addendum, Region 7 AAA Agreement Addendum Q. Motion reads, move to approve the Region 7 Area Agency on Aging Agreement Addendum Q, COVID-19 premium pay for in-home providers, authorize the board chair to sign the same. So what's Q?
So Q is all of the other waiver services that we do provide. So the P was the supplemental funds. This is all of the rest of the waiver programs that we would provide for clients. And this would, again, is the exact same, the $2.35 per hour temporary premium pay for those workers, and then also the 29 cents per hour for the agency to cover the cost. And again, for the fiscal year.
Oh, great. That's what I was just going to ask. And that
Yes.
sure makes it a lot smoother, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Do any commissioners have questions or comments at this time on addendum Q? Seeing or hearing none, we'll move to tonight's agenda.
Okay, number 6, consider approving the mini grant contract between Saginaw Arts and Enrichment Commission on and Isabel County Parks and Recreation Commission in the amount of $3,000 for the 2022 Art from Our Park event and authorize board chair to sign the same.
Good evening. This is our 7th year for applying for this grant. And we had applied for $4,000 for the art from our, or for the this grant for art from our park, and we received $3,000. And that's what this is for, is to approve the agreement for this grant from the Saginaw, excuse me, I have it. Glasses here. The from Michigan Council of Arts and Cultural Affairs. So we're real pleased with the increase. It's going to allow us to hopefully hire a couple more artists and do a little more expansion on the creation stations, etc. And this is a free event out at Deerfield Park, and it's been a really successful program for us.
Thank you. And this is something that, I think, again, gets people into our parks and just let them see what a wonderful county we have. So,
Yeah.
thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question for you. This on the formality of the agreement. Is this a blue pen signature for me, or is this an electronic signature?
You're good. It was.
Those are always fun. Commissioners, contracts with the departments. Use your IDs and then sign out. And so, well, I love a blue pen in my hand.
Right. There is a document for you to sign, but I
Okay.
think we're on.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, seeing that, we'll move that forward to the next thing.
Continuing on with Parks and Recs, we have the Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation grant agreement. The motion reads, move to approve the grant agreement, accepting the terms of the Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation for the Chippewa River Erosion and Canoe Launch Project funds in the amount of $10,000 and authorize the board chair to sign the same. What's up with this?
Okay, this is a grant that we had asked for $15,000. As you recall, we went to bid on this project earlier this year and received one bid, but it did not qualify as a bid. So we are rebidding it. Hopefully we'll get more. Our prime professional or Spicer group is confident we'll get more people to do it in winter time because we're getting ready for the summer. It just was a delay of the, I guess, our timeline of how we got the grant and we're ready to put it out to bid, that we just didn't get that many people interested in the project at that time. But with that, we know that we're going to have to increase our price or what we have for this fund. So I looked into the foundation and we received the $10,000 and there is a possibility, I guess I found out this just recently, that we may get the additional 5,000 as well, but we're waiting on that. So every little bit will help for this project, because whatever we don't get, you guys will see it again for, maybe our match increasing from the park side of things. So we as Commissioner Hutchinson mentioned before, we just got to get it done. This is an important project and we do it. So it's been a long time.
Great. Any questions from the commissioners? Seeing and hearing none, this item will be moved to our regular session this evening. Thank you.
Okay, number 8, along the same lines, consider approving the amendment to architect engineering services agreement between Isabel County and the Spicer Group Incorporated for the Isabel County Parks, Chippewa River Erosion and Canoe Launch Project, and authorize board chair to sign the same.
So this is with Spicer Group, who is our architect engineering group that's helping us with this project. So since there's another review of people that are bidding on the project, that's part of their assistance, and we never did the construction part of things, so that's where the 2,600 is carried over. And then there was a little slight of a increase, I think it was about 5% increase. So the total services will be $4,500 for this upcoming year. The contract agreement was for ending here this month, so it also extends it to next year. I just want to be noted that this is addendum A, and hopefully we will not have an addendum Q.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move it forward to the next one.
Thank you. All right, our next item is a skid steer purchase. The motion reads, move to approve the purchase of New Holland L31-8G skid steer with attached grapple bucket at a one-time cost of $44,300 from Ellen's Equipment Incorporated, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. Yeah. Our director of the MERV here to explain this. Could you take this now, Jay?
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I want to remind all the commissioners that next week, the week of the 13th, through the, actually it'll be through the 18th, the facility will be closed that week for repairs. That has already been pre-scheduled, pre-planned with the city. The major haulers and everybody is aware of this. There has been a press release that has gone out. And I think that was going to be re-released again. There was one last week, and there was one, I think, that was going to go out again this week as well, to make everybody aware of that. So I just wanted to kind of remind all of you, if you do get any phone calls, you can direct them to the facility, but the gates will be closed next week so that we can get them repairs done. Some very, very much needed repairs. Look really excited about getting that work done and being able to keep things moving again. Now, onto the skid steer. You can see part of all of this, we did have 2% funding of $44,000 from the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe. That was last year at this time that we received that funding. At that at that point, we were already in a lease agreement with John Deere. The idea is to move away from the lease agreement, which we feel will save us about $4,000 a year by moving away from that lease agreement. It will keep everything as far as major repairs under warranty work, which will also save us money in the end. Of the 44,000 is a minor $300, which will come out of actually the new equipment line item from my budget. So my recommendation is to purchase a new skidster from New Holland. As you can see, the John Deere skidster quote does not include the grapple bucket, which the biggest reason that we try to include that is the amount of work that particular piece of equipment, not only the skidster, but the bucket itself does on a daily basis. We keep everything greased and all of that, but there's still wear that happens on that. And the purchase of that skidster or the grapple bucket is actually something very needed to go along with that skidster as well. The New Holland quote does include that price on it. So as you can see, the total price from New Holland is $44,300 with my recommendation to authorize the board chair to sign the same. Any questions?
The question I had was really, no problem on getting.
I'm sorry, what was that now?
No problem on getting this?
I've checked up until 2 weeks ago. The issues, that was part of the issue with John Deere. And I had asked for quotes even from McConnell's on a Gale, but both of them, the issues with trying to get the particular piece of equipment that was in the price range that we are looking at. That's why John Deere's quote was so much higher, because the piece of equipment they were quoting, even though it was of the same horsepower, there is some other added options onto it that I did not feel that the facility needed. But Ellen's Equipment has, as of 2 weeks ago, did indicate that they had one and would be able to get it to us once we have a signed contract. Any other questions?
Hearing none, this will be going on tonight's agenda. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
And that concludes the work of the Human Resources and Public Works Committee. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, gentlemen. Again, you guys had a nine-item committee tonight, and that went very well. Congrats to the commissioners. We had 24 items. We got nine over an hour. Congrats. I'm glad Commissioner Andrew tied in our skits here. I was because on the materials, I'm on that committee. Just like 10 minutes on it. Usually. He was asking questions left and right, and I'm going, oh. So anyway. All right, moving down to government affairs. We have no activity, nothing under administrator controller. We have nothing under unfinished business, which brings us to new business. Commissioner English, since I picked on you, would you mind leading this?
Okay, consider approving the purchase of grade investigative software in the amount of $26,771.32 from Gray Shift LLC. We have the sheriff here to talk about it.
Sorry, this was a surprise. It kind of popped up on us last minute. We didn't get it to committees. So Gray Key comes from a company called Gray Shift, the only ones I think in the world that must make this product because it's pretty expensive. Region 6 has 2 of these units. One sits at our sheriff's office, the other one sits at Ottawa County. They are basically code breakers for phones, computers, and so forth for Android and Apple operating systems. That comes in pretty handy when you're dealing with a murder case or something serious. We use them on multiple different types of cases, but some of the most recent ones are our human trafficking task force we have going. We're breaking these phones and downloading all of this stuff that pertains to that crime. So These are pretty important piece of software and computer software we have. We have 2 techs on board right now. One senior who will retire soon and one new guy that's pretty sharp and has an IT background, so he's doing a good job into it. What happened was the state basically said to the region, and it's always kiddywomp when you're dealing with the region, the fiduciary and everything, when you're dealing with Homeland Security, basically said that they're not going to authorize any payments, which this is part of the Homeland Security as it operates. To pay for this, they said that in 2018 has to be done before they'll issue any more money out. Okay, not a real big deal in the fact that our expiration on our license is in about 3 days. So that is a big deal. So basically what we're asking is that the Board of Commissioners would entertain the 26,000 and some change to purchase this outright. The region, it is part of the region funding. It's going to come back to us. They're telling me probably this fiscal year, but they won't officially lock that down because it could be into the next one, but they're pretty sure it'll be this fiscal year. There's an issue with some planting, or it was a concern with some planting, which means basically if we paid for it once, we'd have to pay for it forever. We did get that in writing from Lieutenant Feeker, that's Michigan State Police, who oversees the region. That is not the case. So just because we pay for it this round doesn't mean we're stuck on the hook from moving forward. It'll always come out of the region funds as long as they're there. So that's kind of the gist of it. It's an extremely important piece of equipment. We use it daily, it seems like anymore, to help with these cases. And, you know, I know there's one thing that always kind of gets brought up is, you know, the security and privacy acts and stuff. And all of the stuff that we do comes from a search warrant. We get a search warrant on everything we do. So it's a court ordered search. So that seems to be kind of a sticking point sometimes with some people when they hear that kind of stuff, but we always do, unless it's a consent. So we even do some consent sometimes.
Sheriff, how often does this have to be updated? Is that every 2 months, every 6 months?
For 365, they want that. So that's a pretty expensive piece of software. But I guess they got the market, so I guess they charge what they want. It was about $11,000. They doubled it because of the Android. They just did an Android update. So in fact, I spoke to Ottawa County today and through an email. They've already got theirs up and running there and stuff. So.
Commissioner, sounds good to me.
Region 6 must be a pretty good sized district if Oakland and Isabella.
Ottawa County.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Ottawa County. So we kind of go that way towards Kent, Ottawa, Montcalm, Isabella Clare. It's kind of that direction. So, and part of it, because it's a regional project, is we have to allow or do other agencies as well. You know, if they want to do the region. We actually have some city officers who are trained onto it. We just go down and crack the door for them. They go in to do their own. In the new facility, we have a tech room designed for this. They'll have their own swipe cards. They'll just come in and do their own. Our people won't have to worry about it and take the task on it. So we're hoping to expand this so it really gets used a lot. It's got some good benefits. You know, like I mentioned, the human trafficking task force we just did. One of my detective sergeants was on the last one, and you know, this person showed up. A foot chase pursued, a fight. He was reaching for something. They got his hands handcuffed and pulled a gun out of him. So these are serious cases that we want to make sure we lock them down, get all the evidence we can to make sure the courts have everything they need to deal with these people.
Thank you. Sounds like a very needed tool.
I have just 2 quick questions. So this is, I understand this is software because you see on the national news and everything, Homeland Security issues, which they get a cell phone that can't. This software actually gets into these stuff. So when we see these things now, we can sit there and say, we'll call Mike Main up.
No, Mike Main can't get into it. I would be able to turn it on probably, but the text can, and that was part of that. You know, a year or so ago, there was a lot of media coverage about, you know, whether the companies were going to cooperate, different things with search warrants and so forth, and allow that. This is the software that came from all of those lawsuits in the federal government, the DOJ, and that's why we require search warrants. We just don't go, you know, like, hey, we just get into your phone any day of the week. We use a search warrant unless it's consent.
And you want this only, just to throw this out there, you want this only to be used for law enforcement purposes. So if someone like myself forgets the password when they're and tried it many times, got one chance left, you can't call you.
Yeah, that's not going to work. So it's criminal investigations, absolutely. If you have something,
Very more questions? Sure. Seeing none, we'll move this forward to tonight's business session.
Thank you. Next up, administrative control and employment, new administrative control and employment agreement. I want to ask Vice Chairman Hope if you mind doing this, because we were still here.
Absolutely. So item B would be consider approving the Isabel County Administrative Controller Employment Agreement between Isabel County Board of Commissioners and Nicole F. Frost, effective January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
I can. This is, and I've done employment agreements with employees before, and I will tell you that this was very straightforward. And Nicole presented herself very well, asked very good questions, made very little corrections. And what the corrections she did do was done in a very professional basis. And hats off, she knows what she's getting into. She comes into it with eyes wide open, eager to go. And again, certain things we start, I'm not going to go over too much of the specifics. I think the starting salary is fair, very fair. Of course, I think that, of course, she does too, obviously, we agree upon it, but it just goes to show the level that she's willing to put into us as a county. She comes with experience, she's well warranted, she's well thought of, and I think this is going to be a start of more employment business for her. So I look forward to working with Nicole. I'm sure the other 6 board members as well. Any commissioners like to add anything further?
Nope, I'll just piggyback on that. I look forward to working with you. Kind of starting a new chapter. So it's going to be good.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us out of new business to general public comments. Turn my attention to the live studio audience. Anybody in the audience like to come to the podium? All right, Nicole, anything in the virtual?
There is no one at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then I will close public comment and move to announcements. Commissioners, any announcements? Commissioner Joseph.
Attended the Northern Michigan Counties Association Zoom meeting yesterday. Fortunately, it was canceled because it was in Roscommon, the live meeting because of the roads. But 2 things are brought up. One, it looks like we're going to be dealing with this in the closed session, but it was mentioned that the opioid settlement did require determination by January 2nd participation. So that's probably something coming up. But what I found interesting from one of the House representatives is that there is a House bill that's going to authorize $50 million for school districts to hire resource officers. This is coming on the heels of the downstate unfortunate shooting. There was something in the process of 30 million or something, but it was up. And apparently, I think it has enough support in the Senate and governor to move on. So I think getting more of these resource officers in the school might head off some of these awful incidents in the future.
Thank you, Commissioner Joseph. Any other commissioners? All right, in closing this part of the announcements, I would just like to Administrative Control Martin McAvoy and I had a chance to attend the assignment trip for 2% some 3 weeks ago. And again, they were very, very generous in their offerings. To the tune of they granted $563,844.40. That is one of the larger ones I can remember receiving in the past few years. And considering what the last 2 years have brought to that entity, I think it's just to go over $80,000 went to the hazardous materials team. The Isabella County Trial Court received $40,000. The recycling program received $100,000. The Isabella Commission on Aging received $203,790. Some water sampling contamination for Isabella Beaches had grant received $14,756. And echoing on Commissioner Engler's, the septic system cost share program $125. So again, thank you. I'm not just speaking for myself, and the rest of this board. Thank you very much. I don't chip like that. I don't chip. So with that, we'll now move into closed session. Do I need to ask anybody to stay?
Court administrator for.
And she's on video. Well, there she is. I didn't see her. Sorry about that. Yes, court administrator, Curtis, Carrie Curtis. You were my stand.
You need to see me, Sheriff?
Drive safe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Who did that?
I will remember you when I put this mask on next time.
You know what they say about good and bad.
Hey, bring that anytime.
Drive safe.
All right, yep, see you later.
Mindy, they didn't vote to go in yet, Mindy.
How do we do this?
Yeah, vote.
Oh, yeah. we have-
Now, there's a rookie mistake.
Follow the motion that's on the agenda. Somebody making a motion that's on the agenda under.
All right.
I should, I got my mic on.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
I get a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Support. Motion support to go into closed session. Further discussion. Hearing seen none, clerk Lux, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hutchinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Slaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton.
Yes.
Ayes received 7, nays received 0. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
No, it turns. So,
Okay. Before we start the whole subject matter and turn it over to.
Margaret.
Court administrator.
remember, you need to enter the breakout room. You're still in. Do you see over here? Yes.
Boom. And then, I'll wait till it stops spinning around in the circle. Okay, I want to start, I want to start by apologizing to Carrie for something that I realized about 10 minutes ago. The board had made a comment the last time that the courts brought forward an agreement with their contractors. Could they have a couple of things up front so they would know about? Carrie sent me an email on November 16th, and I did not forward it to you, so that's totally on me. So I will tell you the 3 things that are on it. It's very brief. In totality, the applicable, so the Employees Labor Council, of course, has reached an agreement for a 3-year contract. That's good. The appropriate dates will be January 1st, 22 through December 31st, 24. There should be a 2.5% across the board pay increase effective January 1st, 2022. And year 2023 and 2024 will have wage reopeners. That's basically very similar to all the other contracts. You know, the courts are an independent form of government, and how they manage the courts is up to them, and how the courts are partially funded, at least currently, comes from the county. So that's on me, Carrie. I apologize. I couldn't go out before the meeting. I apologize to the board of commissioners. But that is on me. So with that, I'll turn it over.
Pardon me? Your mic's getting.
Yeah.
No, there's something for ratification.
Well, let us know where we're all at.
You are all back.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go into closed session under section 8E of the Open Meetings Act to consult with attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with national opioid litigation.
Support, Marino.
We hold on one moment. There were motion and support to go into closed session, discuss as stated in the motion. Clerk Brooks, roll call vote.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Slaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Holt,
Yeah.
Commissioner Hutchinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we are going into closed.